crocodiles hunt through moments that are cold and explosive. No pursuit, no display, only compressed patience beneath the water's surface. Every movement is a precise calculation, where error carries a cost. Yet even this ancient hunting machine reaches moments of risk. And when that happens, nature offers no mercy. It delivers consequence. At the edge of a shallow watering hole, the cheetah, an ultimate symbol of acceleration, capable of surpassing 60 miles per hour within seconds, must trade away its most valuable asset, vigilance. As it lowers its head to drink, a body designed for explosive sprints across dry plains enters a rare moment of vulnerability. The water's surface suddenly breaks. A precisely timed strike, driven by a bite force of roughly 3,700 psi, pulls the cheetah from the bank in an instant. At the boundary where land ends, absolute speed is no longer protection. Only silence closes in beneath the murky water. Each year, more than 2 million animals leave the Serengeti and move toward the Masai Mara, forming one of the planet's most dramatic yet unforgiving migrations. The most intense bottleneck lies at the fast-moving Mara River, where Nile crocodiles, stretching over 16 feet long, remain concealed beneath the brown, opaque water, waiting for chaos to unfold. They do not rush. Rather than targeting the strongest at the front, the crocodiles select the young that drift away from the herd, or the weakened individuals struggling midstream. One decisive bite, and the river crossing ends in silence. Each migration season, roughly 6,000 lives are claimed at the Mara. Yet this loss does not vanish without meaning. The nutrients released sustain the entire river ecosystem, from bottom-dwelling fish to birds overhead. It is a stark cycle, where life continues through rules that offer no compromise. Impalas are known for their exceptional alertness. Weighing around 150 pounds, they can leap distances of up to 30 feet, enough to evade most land-based predators. But as they approach the river's edge, that familiar advantage begins to fade. Relying on highly sensitive vibration detection along the jawline, crocodiles read even the smallest ripples on the water's surface. No prolonged chase is required, only perfect timing. A single moment out of rhythm is enough for the impala herd to scatter and retreat from the riverbank, leaving behind a silent warning for the next visit to drink. Within Africa's unforgiving ecosystem, power is always tied to space. On sun-scorched grasslands, the male lion, weighing up to 500 pounds and capable of reaching around 35 miles per hour in short bursts, stands as a symbol of dominance on the plains. But as it moves closer to the water's edge, that advantage begins to fade. Fully grown lions rarely take such risks. The danger is concentrated on lion cubs, weighing only a few dozen pounds and lacking full awareness. In a brief moment, a crocodile can overpower the cub and disappear with it, leaving the water's surface to quickly return to stillness. At the boundary of water, the strength of the pride is no longer complete. The balance shifts immediately when a crocodile moves just a few feet from the shoreline. On dry ground, a body weighing over 2,000 pounds becomes slow to maneuver, allowing lions to apply pressure and force the rival to retreat toward deeper water. These encounters reinforce a simple rule. In nature, there is no absolute power, only advantage granted to those occupying the right space. Although often seen as the dominant force in the water, crocodiles do not always hold the upper hand. In wetlands, along riverbanks, and across semi-arid regions, nature continually creates moments that overturn familiar hierarchies. A single lapse in awareness can turn a hunter into the vulnerable one. One of the few but truly formidable threats comes from giant pythons. Reaching lengths beyond 20 feet, their bodies function like living cables, relying not on speed, but on sustained constricting power. Such confrontations rarely end quickly. Instead, they unfold in tense silence, where every movement drains the strength of the opponent. Even a crocodile's thick skin and powerful jaws are not always enough to guarantee safety. Danger can also come from creatures far smaller, yet remarkably fearless. When crocodiles bask in the sun to regulate their body temperature, they may fall within the range of honey badgers. Weighing only around 30 pounds, this animal can still pose a real threat to young crocodiles measuring less than 4 feet in length. Without hesitation or avoidance, the honey badger charges directly, using agility and uncommon boldness, turning the future of a young crocodile into a high-risk struggle for survival. Warthogs are not specialized hunters, but their solid build and sharp, curved tusks make them difficult adversaries. When young crocodiles stray too far from the water, warthogs may apply pressure, forcing them to retreat. On land, crocodiles no longer hold absolute advantage, especially when a mother warthog's protective instincts are triggered. Equally notable are encounters with baboons. If a single juvenile is threatened, the entire troop responds immediately. Through intelligence and tight coordination, they can surround and pressure a crocodile until it abandons its advantage. These moments reinforce a lasting rule of nature. Power is not defined solely by size or bite force, but by the ability to recognize risk and understand one's own limits. The African elephant, the giant of the plains, embodies the continent's greatest physical presence. A fully grown individual can weigh over 13,000 pounds, possess complex social memory, and display near absolute protective instincts toward its young. During migration, the herd forms a living barrier, shielding its most vulnerable members while crossing dangerous rivers. Yet even this tightly coordinated formation does not always withstand nature's challenges. During the high water season, the Mara River turns fierce. A young elephant, lighter in weight and unsteady, is pushed out of the protective circle by the current. In that brief opening, crocodiles immediately seize a rare opportunity to secure a vital meal. The distance and rushing water make intervention by the mother nearly impossible. However, once the terrain shifts into shallow water, the balance changes quickly. If a crocodile is detected approaching the herd, a forceful response erupts. One heavy step amid the chaos is enough to drive the ancient predator back. Encounters with hippopotamuses present a risk crocodiles rarely choose to confront. Dependent on the same waterways, the territories of both species often overlap. But when a crocodile crosses a critical boundary, a male hippo, weighing up to 4,000 pounds, highly aggressive and fiercely territorial, retaliates without hesitation. A single decisive charge from its massive body and powerful jaws is enough to disrupt any hunting attempt. These encounters reinforce an unchanging rule of nature. Even the most seasoned predators remain part of an ecological order, where life is sustained through balance, not absolute dominance. As the rainy season causes rivers to swell, crocodiles face not only prey, but their own kind. Massive males, stretching beyond 18 feet in length, enter contests for territory and breeding rights. There is no haste. Heavy tail sweeps churn the water, and each close approach becomes a test of endurance and resolve. The one that remains standing ultimately controls a stretch of river spanning miles, where food resources and the chance to pass on genes converge. These encounters are rare, but deeply symbolic. They reveal that evolution does not favor brute strength alone, but also rewards strategy and adaptability. In nature, today's dominant force can become tomorrow's cautious one. And it is this constant competition that keeps ecological balance in motion, never fixed, always changing. Without warning and without hesitation, the the killer whale appears like a deliberate force of nature. Its power lies not only in its massive body, but in how each glide slices through the ocean with controlled precision. Every movement is a decision, every surge of water an unseen snare. In that world, fear does not begin with pursuit. It begins with the realization that escape is no longer possible. In the cold waters around subantarctic islands, sea lions often wander and bask near the shoreline, their playful growls blending with the sound of waves, creating a brief sense of calm. When vigilance fades to its lowest point, the ocean chooses that moment to reclaim the balance of survival. A rising tide marks the perfect window. An orca cuts through the surf, accelerates, and surges onto the shallows, knocking balance aside and leaving the sea lion disoriented. A powerful jaw, with bite pressure estimated at up to 19,000 pounds per square inch, holds firm, while the tail fluke generates thrust, drawing the heavy body back into deeper water before the tide recedes. This strategy demands near-perfect precision. A single miscalculation could leave the hunter stranded as well. When an adult sea lion reaches deeper water, the orca adapts again. It targets a vulnerable point along the flank, delivering a forceful impact without prolonged struggle. As the sea lion becomes temporarily immobilized by the physical shock, the pod moves in, bringing the hunt to a swift and controlled conclusion. Dolphins are the ocean's endurance athletes. With long, streamlined, flexible bodies, they can pivot 180 degrees in an instant and surge forward at speeds of around 25 miles per hour. They possess strong memory, sophisticated communication, and tight group coordination. For this reason, orcas never pursue blindly. Every move is calculated. Guided by a leading female, the orca pod fans out and maintains constant pressure from behind, forcing the dolphins to change direction and break formation. Another group quietly moves ahead, forming moving underwater barriers. A few individuals employ a leap strategy, launching nearly 20 feet above the surface to observe the dolphins from above. These jumps also generate powerful surface disturbances that interfere with the dolphin's navigation. When one individual becomes separated from the protective circle, the orcas accelerate immediately, delivering a brief but precise strike that disrupts momentum. They then regroup as a tightly bonded family, turning the moment into a coordinated gathering within the open ocean. But the ocean never truly rests. The orcas continue onward, ready for the next challenge in the endless cycle of survival. Humpback whales are the wandering artists of the ocean. With bodies weighing up to 88,000 pounds, a distinctive arched back, and pale patterns along the underside, they stand out clearly against the cold gray sea. Their pectoral fins, stretching up to 16 feet, sweep through the water like massive arms, powerful enough to make most predators hesitate. For orcas, however, humpback whales are not a test of strength, but a challenge of patience and strategy. They rarely confront a full group of adults head-on, instead focusing on mother and calf pairs that fall out of rhythm. Each time a mother surfaces to breathe becomes an opening, a moment when the orca pod quietly adjusts its angle, gradually draining precious oxygen and endurance. Most unsettling is the manipulation of instinct. One orca imitates the motion of lifting a calf onto its back, the same action a mother uses, luring the young away from the shelter of the massive pectoral fins. A difference of just a few inches in timing is enough to isolate the target. After hours of resistance, as the mother grows exhausted, the orca pod closes in, and the hunt comes to an end. Across the cold sea, beneath the fading echoes of humpback songs, the ocean whispers a stark truth. In the dance of survival, even those who protect with open arms can falter by a single missed breath. On the deep seafloor, stingrays are masters of concealment, nearly vanishing from sight. But the orca has its own method of hunting. It combines sharp vision, acoustic sensing, and controlled tail sweeps to stir up the thin layer of sand, forcing the hidden ray to abandon its natural camouflage. Once the prey is exposed, the predator needs only a measured glide to place the stingray at a clear disadvantage. What stands out here is not raw power, but strategy. Two coordinated tactics working together show that the orca adapts to each species and each environment, like a true tactician of the ocean floor. In narrow straits, the great white shark stands as a symbol of absolute dominance. With a body stretching over 18 feet, razor-sharp teeth, and a bite force exceeding 4,000 pounds force, it appears almost like a flawless design of nature. Its silent presence alone is enough to make every other creature remain cautious. But today, the hunter will become the hunted. The surface rhythm shifts. A shadow weighing nearly 15,000 pounds rises from the depths, an orca. There is no reckless assault, only advanced intelligence and disciplined formation. Reading currents, judging distance, then locking onto the target through the ocean's acoustic sensing. disrupting the opponent's awareness. Rather than a direct confrontation, the orca approaches from a blind angle, delivering a precisely timed impact to the side, turning the shark upside down. In that moment, the shark enters a temporary state of immobility, as if its nervous system has been disoriented. The chase ends before it ever fully begins. The objective is not a display of dominance, but the liver, a vast internal energy reserve, rich in nutrients. This is how the ocean repeats an old rule. The strongest is not the one with the sharpest teeth, but the one that unites collective strength with superior intelligence. Beneath drifting ice in waters colder than 30 degrees Fahrenheit, the seal is a master of survival. A thick layer of blubber insulates a body weighing around 600 pounds, while sensitive whiskers read every ripple that signals danger. Resting atop an icy fortress, the seal believes it is safe until the water below subtly shifts. The orcas begin with a technique known as wavewashing. The pod lines up side by side, swimming in parallel with flawless rhythm, accelerating before diving in unison. A final, powerful tail sweep sends a wave nearly 5 feet high, a massive surge of water that rattles the ice and throws the seal off balance. Wavewashing is not an impulsive act, but intelligence refined across generations. Young orcas spend 3 to 5 years closely following their mothers and pod, learning how to read waves, assign roles, and coordinate flawlessly. Amid the brutal cold, the ocean repeats an old truth. Raw strength may shake the ice, but collective memory and the ability to learn are what allow a predator to endure through time. Gray whales are colossal travelers, weighing roughly 6 times as much as a killer whale. Each year, they leave the icy waters of the Arctic and journey toward the warm lagoons of Baja California, carrying the survival hopes of an entire new generation. Alongside her calf, the mother whale becomes a living shield, positioning herself between her young and every potential threat within the sea. Along a migration spanning more than 10,000 miles, their greatest challenge comes from a patient and unyielding rival, the killer whale. There is no haste, no chaos. They work in coordinated groups, repeatedly testing ways to break the protective circle around the calf. The pressure can last for hours, even days, with repeated harassment designed to wear down both mother and young. If the mother maintains steady breathing, stays close to the coastline, and keeps the calf tightly within formation, both may slip free from the encirclement, gradually fading from the predator's view. But when time and coordination take their toll, immense size slowly loses its advantage. On this journey, no strength is absolute. Even a giant driven by enduring maternal instinct may pay a price for falling half a step out of rhythm in the endless dance of survival. The crocodile makes the entire river proceed with caution. Yet it exists on a fragile boundary between territory, survival, and hunger. Nature never grants permanent power. It offers opportunity only to those that truly understand their own limits. For those who wish to continue following these harsh yet fair survival stories, liking and subscribing ensures the next journey will not be missed, where nature speaks entirely for itself.